This isn't even my final form of perfect discussion. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now I realised that on Friday it will be my 100th discussion video. I just want to say thank you for all those viewers that have stuck around and just supported me throughout the last few months. Your support has been amazing and I thank you for just sticking around, and I hope to keep entertaining you from the months to come. But now we mustn't dawdle. We've got a discussion to do, so let's get to it. With the Tournament of Power soon approaching, well, I say soon, more like a month away, so mid-July, it's time to think where we are in terms of the universe survival arc. We've had thrills, spills, anger, frustration, intrigue, and fascination, as well as some truly genuinely fascinating side character development, and I'm looking at you, number 17. However, as we've known for a while now, there have been many times throughout the show that have had us looking up to the heavens and just screaming, "Why, Toei, why?" As you might know, Frieza is currently replacing Majin Buu for the Universe 7 team for the Tournament of Power. Despite this being an unexpected and not necessarily universally welcome turn of events, I think, now that I've had some time to process, with some careful planning and good execution, it could actually be interesting. We have a chance to see Goku and Frieza fighting together, which is a really ironic twist. Goku played Frieza for a fool with the Dragonball wish, because thanks to the Earth Dragon Balls you can't be wished back twice, something that Frieza didn't know. And who's to say what might happen when Vegeta claps eyes on Frieza? And despite the real appeal that there is, the potential, it must be a logistical nightmare for all concerned in Team Universe 7, as well as with the writers. You are having to deal with a guy who was at one point the most powerful being in the entire universe, all thanks to the far-reaching and powerful Frieza Empire. A guy whose first instinct is to wipe people out who are weaker than him, or turn them into his slaves, or sell them off, or all three. Everybody hates him. Even Goku isn't fond of him. He only tolerates the Galactic Overlord because he can get a good fight out of him. Right from Frieza's inception, Akira Toriyama made Frieza out to be the worst of the worst. In my Frieza the Land Shark video that you can find a link to in the description and up top, I went into detail about the origins of Frieza's character and where it came from. I went into detail about how Frieza represented the economic crisis in late 80s, early 90s Japan, which the effects are actually still affecting the country to this day. Toriyama usually struggles with designing bad guys, but not with Frieza. I'm not good with drawing truly bad guys. I guess it's probably just Frieza. Like, he was truly a bad guy. The others all have an aspect that you can't hate remaining somewhere in there. Toriyama's relationship with Frieza is quite personal then, something that hit close to home. All Japanese people who lived throughout that period of history have a deep-seated resentment towards the kind of people that bought up land, sold on speculation, and then sold on for profit, leaving everybody out of a home, effectively. And to have someone like that being schooled majorly by the main character, beaten to death almost, that must be truly cathartic for all concerned, and especially Toriyama. All that vitriol carried over into the plot, and it made Frieza into one of the most iconic villains in all of anime. However, all that bile, evilness, and malicious nature is very hard to try and replace if you ever wish to change the tone of a particular character, like Frieza. You can't just suddenly make him someone else. It's been deep-rooted into our psyche for over 25 years. This guy is bad. And are we supposed to believe that Goku and Frieza haven't become friends now? No. This isn't like the fanfiction I read. I'm sorry, but this scenario is just virtually impossible. Right now, in Super, Frieza is only tolerating Goku's instructions because he can have a chance of being brought back to life. He's doing it for him and him alone, not for the good of the universe. It's just that he could potentially rebuild his army and strike fear in the hearts of many once again. Or maybe he might just want to have a physical body again and retreat somewhere just to live out his life, without Goku in it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Toriyama liked to buck the trend when it came to designing Frieza, and he goes into it in more detail in the Super History book of Dragon Ball to celebrate the show's 30th anniversary. When drawing bad guys, I won't make them so devious and underhanded that it leaves a bad taste in the reader's mouth afterwards. Not because I'm particularly concerned for the readers, but rather because I personally hate drawing that kind of stuff. Well, Frieza was pretty underhanded, but I generally don't draw things that are so unpleasant that it gets to you psychologically. Also, I paid a fair amount of attention to how Frieza talked. After all, villains pretty much always talk rudely, I thought the contrast between his polite speech pattern and his cruelty and strength was really unsettling. What I am getting at is because of how complex Frieza's character is, in that he's polite but evil, courteous but then also destructive, it's kind of hard to change. It's really weird to try and write the character in any other situation where he's not the straight up villain. Seeing him toe the line, work inside the box, and be a team player is just not in his nature. Nor would it be a particularly genuine use for his character model. In fact, in episode 93, when he was told that he actually gets to fight other opponents, his first reaction was, "Oh good, can I kill them?" And he said that with malicious mirth. To have him then willfully listen to other people out of enthusiasm rather than his own personal gain, it would be an insult to his past and potential future in Dragon Ball if Frieza were to act like that. His mythos and stature would be tainted. But I can't imagine that Frieza's going to play ball throughout the Tournament of Power. As we've seen in the last couple of episodes, he has been actually written quite well. The presentation for him has been really good, almost rivaling and exceeding the quality that was in the Resurrection F movie. I mean, miles ahead of the actual arc in Super. Either he betrays Universe 7 outright, or he decides to drop the bombshell on Vegeta that Beerus was the one to instruct Planet Vegeta's destruction. Oh, that's gonna actually unsettle Vegeta, and he might not take part. He might refuse, and therefore it would disrupt the entire team and just cause chaos. Oh goody, it'd be fun to see the monkeys fight each other. Why put up with all of that? I would honestly think that Perfect Cell is a better choice for a Universe 7 team member who is a villain, because quite clearly, Toei has a fascination for adding villains into the mix with the good guys lately. Now, for those of you who might not remember, Perfect Cell was meant to be perfect. A culmination of all the characters, everything that made them them, they gotta fight it all in one being. You know, he was the good way of doing that, rather than actually using the Shadow Dragons in GT. Oh, how could you mess up such a cool concept? Cell and Frieza do have things in common though. In fact, it was Frieza who helped develop Cell's psyche both in universe and narratively speaking. It all started with Frieza. I didn't start out with any plans to have him transform, of course, but midway through I thought it might be cool to make it look like a bluff and then have him transform for real. I'm in the habit of giving characters progressively more complex and tough looking forms, then finally making them really sleek. After all, it's awful drawing them once they get all complex. Complex guys are terrible when you have to draw them for weeks on end. Cell was a ton of work with those darn spots of his. Frieza's inclination to transform was powerful, yet it was quite flawed. Since he had no formal training in the martial arts, he just beat people up, he didn't believe in the principle of actually not starting all out. Once he just thought, oh, I'll just buff up to full power and end the monkeys once and for all. He thought the job would be done, but oh no, it doesn't work like that. As we saw in the Frieza saga and in the Resurrection F movie, that strategy just does not work. It's just not practical, and all we end up with is a tired Frieza looking kinda pathetic at the hands of Super Saiyan Goku, be it in the original Super Saiyan or in Super Saiyan Blue. It was a tour de force in the phrase, "Oh, how the mighty have fallen." Toriyama, figuratively and narratively, decided to write Frieza's DNA into the creation of Cell ultimately. His latent power, as well as the fighting prowess of Goku and Vegeta, as well as Piccolo, plus Piccolo's cool-headedness and strategy, actually made Cell a formidable opponent. Together with those and other characters' attacks, Cell was practically unstoppable. What makes Cell different from Frieza is his personality. He's not an unstoppable killing machine, nor does he really want to take over the galaxy. He just wants to have a good fight with people that are just as strong or stronger than him because of all the Saiyan DNA inside of him. Because to be fair, half of his genetic makeup comes from Goku and Vegeta, two of the fightingest characters in the entire show. He got the overly dramatic politeness and amiability on first glance, but no, he will stomp your throat without you looking if you're not careful. As for Piccolo, that's all pure reasoning and calculation. Piccolo at the time of the Cell Saga onwards was a really calm and measured character who thought about his plans before acting on them. That kind of strategic thinking was critical for Cell's genetic makeup. It stood Cell in good stead because would you imagine a psychopath coming up with the idea of a Cell games and waiting for a good fight? That just wouldn't happen unless Cell is quite an amiable fellow, if you're on his good side. It all came together to turn Cell into actually one of the most well-rounded characters in the series. Toriyama pulled out all the stops when it came to Cell, and it led him almost to a nervous breakdown. It made him push himself harder than ever before, but ultimately it was worth it. This is why Cell is one of my favourite characters in the entire series. He's my favourite villain. In Perfect Cell, we got the peak of drama, intrigue, and flamboyance in a package that was overall quite endearing. I mean, when he doesn't want to kill you and suck your energy out, that is. When it comes to saying who might be a better fit for the Universe 7 team, I definitely have to think it's Perfect Cell. Cell is the kind of being that would be more likely to listen to instructions and toe the line if the universe is in danger. His Saiyan traits would ensure that he would obey the rules if it meant he could fight, instead of his first instinct to being kill them all, like Frieza would do, and has exhibited. It's something that the Galactic Overlord really wants to do. He's desperate for it. The only thing that's stopping him from doing it is because if he doesn't, then he won't be brought back to life. Little does he know he's been played. Now, for those of you thinking that Cell is not as strong as Frieza, okay, if you took Cell from the end of the Otherworld tournament arc in Z and put him right next to Golden Frieza, you would have a point. You'd be quite right. Frieza is definitely stronger than Cell at that point. However, I find it incredibly hard that Perfect Cell has not been training in the Otherworld during this time. All thanks to, once again, his Saiyan genetic makeup. He would have been wanting to try and find something to do in Hell now that his bestie and possibly lover has been stuck in a particular part of Hell for the best part of a couple of years, maybe more. If he has been training in Hell and got himself to the level of what Majin Buu or Gohan is at this point in Super, then he would actually be a worthy addition to the team. I don't think it'd be that hard to do in 11 years worth of training since the Cell games. That is if his soul hasn't been cleansed yet. The whole deal with Frieza still being in Hell is because his soul resisted being cleansed, so he was stuck in a cocoon and in his body, so that he would have to endure Hell until he would just capitulate. The writers at Toei could explain away Cell's absence by saying that he capitulated and his soul's been cleansed and reincarnated in another being in Universe 7. Job done. In all of this, it's just too hard to say what Cell's fate is unless we get some kind of clarification from Toei, be it a cursory line somewhere, or a quick scene in Hell seeing Cell trying to find Frieza or something, I don't know, just something, Toei. Give us a little tidbit so we can get some closure. It's not that hard. We just want to put Cell's future to bed. In summary, Goku is making his life difficult as well as everyone else on the team by including Frieza in the lineup. If they had just called upon Perfect Cell to join the team, they could have easily avoided the precarious scenario of having to handle a galactic emperor who will not listen to anyone and is just desperate to kill. It could all be avoided thanks to Cell's reasonable nature in comparison to Frieza. But alas, Frieza is just too popular amongst the writers, I'm afraid. So I don't think any other character is going to get a look in. But as I said before, if they can execute it pretty well, like they did in episode 94, then it could be okay. So what do you guys think? Would you have preferred Perfect Cell over Frieza in the Universe Survival Arc? Do you think we'll even see Perfect Cell again? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later.